This video is sponsored by Paperlike. So if you've purchased an iPad along with an Apple Pencil, then you probably don't have any money left, and I don't blame you. It's expensive, but you really want to start drawing, so you start looking through the App Store and discover Ibis Paint X. It's a simple painting app, free to download on your iPad and your phone, but is it good enough to make professional art? Let's find out. So I spent about 5 hours painting in Ibis Paint last night, but before I talk about that, there's some things I want to point out now that might be deal breakers if you want to make this your main art app and sell your work. So the number one biggest issue I have with Ibis Paint X is the canvas size limitation. You are limited to about 4,000 by 4,000 pixels on each side, which is not enough if you want to do large high quality prints. This ultimately depends on you though and what you want to create with your work. But for me, I really need that extra 1,000 pixels. The next thing is how the app supports itself. Ibis Paint X is free, so it shows ads to make money. There's an ad space at the top of the screen that reduces the drawing area, which is pretty lame in my opinion, especially since half the time it's just asking me to pay to remove it, which brings me to my next point. Although the app is free, about 75% of the brushes are not free unless you pay a $3 per month subscription. But it does give you the option to watch a short ad to get access to the brushes for almost an entire day, which isn't too bad. You can also pay $6 or $7 to just get rid of the ads entirely. I tried to use the app without spending any money on it to give a proper review, but I couldn't stand it after a while and thought it would be better for you guys as well since you're going to be watching the speed paint. So I ended up purchasing the $6 ad removal package at some point. The next thing is the recording feature. It's pretty unusable in my opinion. It actually took forever to export the video, so I was expecting a really good high quality video. But no, it was just as bad, if not worse, than Adobe Fresco's video export. And my last issue is just how quickly the app closes and dumps its memory. If the screen locks and you use another app, it just takes you completely out of the painting, and it takes longer than Procreate or Adobe Fresco to get back into it since you have to tap the artwork itself and then tap edit. This isn't really a big deal, but it's especially annoying if you're trying to create content like me. Before I start talking about the painting, I wanted to quickly say thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Many of you guys ask how I have the drawing sound effects in my video, but that's really just the sound of my Paperlike matte screen protector. Paperlike has actually released a new version that uses nanodot technology to achieve a clearer viewing experience while making the surface feel even rougher when using it. To me, it feels almost exactly like drawing on a sheet of paper that's sitting on a laminated wooden desk with a pen, which is pretty much what everyone is used to from school. I think the worst part is your average matte screen protector has the rainbow coloration effect that happens when you apply the screen and look at a white image, but with Paperlike 2, that type of color noise is much more reduced, and all I notice now is a really fine grained texture to the display. If you're interested in purchasing Paperlike 1 or 2, check the links in the description box below. So, like always, I started the painting off with a sketch. Sketching was actually not bad once I got the ability to use the pencil brushes. My favorite ones were the mechanical pencil brushes especially, and they really felt similar to the brushes that I create custom for Procreate. I actually didn't make any big adjustments to the brushes the entire time I worked because there's so many brushes and I was able to find out a specific one that worked for me. The whole time I was painting, there were actually these little tooltips that popped up for almost every single button in the app, and I was getting annoyed at first, but they honestly did help me find out some of the things I was looking for later on. And the settings are extremely extensive, which even include a pressure curve, and it also includes an ability to let you turn on and off those tooltips. Now, the painting experience is where I was really impressed. The way the paint lays down and how the brushes blend is amazing. It's just like how I remember using Paint Tool Sai or Manga Studio back in the day, which is just, 2 or 3 years ago when I was using my Wacom tablet. And I love the gradual pen brush and how easily I can achieve directional blending with it. I can blend a color forward and have it fade out, or I can simply wiggle my pencil to the left and right a little bit to get it to blend away completely. This is really perfect when you want to soften an edge like the lips, but keep it looking like an edge. None of the brushes in Procreate really work like this, and I'm still trying to create something similar there. This type of paint and smudge style technique made painting the wrinkles in the shirt super easy, and I'm actually incorporating it more and more into my style. One thing that I will say is that the stabilizer was a bit tricky to use. It felt like it was always lagging to me, and I never really got over stabilizer level 3 and frequently had to reduce it to 1 because I just couldn't stand it. But to be honest, I never really use over 20% of the streamline in Procreate, so I think this is probably just fine for everyone else. The color wheel, on the other hand, was very intuitive. I love how easy it was for me to be able to set up my 10 to 30% warm grays that I use for the shadow layer. The fill tool is pretty good. It lets you customize the threshold, but it was never really perfect. It was a little bit better than Adobe Fresco when it comes to that fine edge, but there were a lot of kind of like watery edges left. It's hard to explain, but Procreate's fill tool just remains the best on the market that I've seen so far. The layers also worked well for me. I was able to rename them and move them around easily. I wasn't able to select multiple layers though at the same time to edit, which I greatly missed from Procreate. I make a lot of mistakes that I can't see until much later on into the painting process, so it's nice to be able to select multiple layers and use something like the Liquify tool from Procreate or the Lasso tool from all of these programs and make quick adjustments. Speaking of the Lasso tool, the Lasso Select and Move tools worked really good, although they were more similar to Adobe Fresco in how they're implemented than Procreate. I was able to move around the eyes, for example, and resize them when they looked off to me. At the end of the day, I think Ibis Paint X is a surprisingly great app. It definitely works better for different art styles like this one, but it makes me actually want to give Clip Studio another try, which is the kind of more professional version of this app. Unfortunately, I know they really haven't made any updates to the UI and everything, and I'm still salty from when it didn't save my work when I used it 2 years ago, so I think I'm just going to add some music to this and let the speed paint finish so that you can enjoy the rest of the process. If not, thanks so much for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And also consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see the full-length 4-hour video of this entire painting process, as well as monthly tutorials starting in November. This has been Ergo Josh, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.